Hi, welcome back to The In Between. I'm Camille. There comes a moment when you realize this doesn't feel right anymore, but you've already chosen it, and you believe that you can't change your mind. This is choose again. In the old design model, we are saddled with pressure when it comes to making a decision. That's primarily because in the old design model, we were conditioned, brought up to believe, programmed to believe that there is a right decision. And so you better make that one. And that has led to what I call decision paralysis because we have such anxiety about potentially making the wrong decision that we don't make any decision at all. And that leaves us stagnant and creates stagnation in our own growth and evolution. In the new design model, we have radically redesigned that moment. Because in the new design model, we understand that the skill of the moment is our ability to change our mind. Because we recognize that when you're going through change, confusion, transformation, when you are birthing a new version of yourself, you are dealing with new information constantly. And so frequently in the new design model, and most definitely when you're in the in between, a decision you made yesterday that was completely aligned to who you were yesterday could very well not feel right today because you've changed. That's how severe and significant transformation of the self is. You can literally be a completely different person one day from the next. Something that happened the day before, information that you received, that you processed, that you did your internal check in with, that led you to make a decision, turns out lands completely differently today. Because overnight, you've become a different person. Overnight, you've questioned so much around that decision that you're rethinking it. Today, you're committed to never staying in something that is not aligned with who you are. In the new design model, we are not here making decisions from the past. We are not here making decisions from the version of ourselves we used to be. We're here focused on who we are becoming, as well as our future self that's calling our name. We're doing so much internal work in the in between that it is necessary to pivot, to reconsider, and yes, to choose again. In the beginning, when I did this, it just felt wrong. And it took me a while to realize, oh, it feels wrong because it's new. The mind doesn't have choosing again, changing your mind as a reference point. In the old design model, if you invested your time or money in something, if you took a long time to make a decision and choose this path or this job, there was a lot of pressure and sometimes shame and judgment from the outside world, from the people who are still conditioned and programmed by that belief system when we even proposed the possibility that we were rethinking things. Because in the old design model, that is often seen as a weakness. It's seen as a failure, which from this perspective is just crazy. In the new design model and in the in between, when you are literally becoming a new version of yourself, when you are navigating terrain that you have never been in before, you are going to be in situations where you are constantly experiencing and receiving new information, new flashes of insight. And even if that doesn't change, you will. And so the way you thought about someone or something yesterday or last week can very well be different because you're different. And so we see changing your mind, we see choosing again as a strength because we're willing to go with the flow. We understand that this is about evolution. This is not about stagnation. This is about our willingness to always check in and make sure that as things are shifting externally and internally, so are we. Sometimes you make a decision and then you get a whole batch of new information, new data that you didn't have when you made the decision. In the old design model, it was, oh well. But in the new design model, and especially in the in between, we are committed to our evolution. And so we are willing to choose again. Now, I've said this before, and it's good to say it again. Be mindful of who you share this type of information with. Because if you've got friends or loved ones that are still operating out of the old design model, they may reflect that shame or judgment back to you. Not necessarily even intentionally. They may do it from a feeling of love. However, when that happens, that can cause us to second guess ourselves. That can cause us to doubt ourselves in ways that aren't authentic because we're buying into the old way of being. So make sure that you've got that one person or your counselor or some professional or your partner that you can go to and feel safe and say, wow, this is really amazing. I invested all this time and money in this decision that I made. Now, everything in me tells me that's actually not the way to go. And I think I'm going to change my mind. You want to have somebody around you that can cheer you on, that can say things like, wow, what courage. And maybe you have to look in the mirror so that the one reflecting back to you is the one that's saying, wow, what courage. Good for you. I'm really proud of you. Because it's only ever feedback. There's no failure here. And so if you're in this moment where you're feeling like something is no longer feeling right, when something is off, when it just is no longer a yes, give yourself permission to choose again and continue to pivot and change and choose again so that you are staying as authentic and as real as you can, not just to who you are, but to who you're becoming, not just to the present moment that you're navigating with awareness and a sense of commitment and mindfulness, but to the future that's right in front of you, calling your name. I truly feel that this is one of the most important skills of this moment in not only our personal evolutions, but in the evolution of humanity. Because in the new design model, there aren't instructions that are pre-formulated. We are figuring things out in real time. We're using those questions. How do I want to feel? And what is mine to do? We have a whole new process by which we put information through. We have a whole new decision-making process. And because it's built on feelings and it's built on information that's constantly changing, we recognize that it's probable at some point along the way that even though we made a decision because of change, we are going to choose again. And when you give yourself permission to shake off the old way of doing that, when you give yourself permission to shed the skin of shame and judgment, when you truly feel that something is no longer in alignment and you're called to choose again, when you liberate yourself like that, when you give yourself permission to change your mind, oh my goodness, it is such an empowering moment. It is one of those moments when you really feel like you're all in. to yourself. You're all in with you. You're all in with this journey of transformation that you are on. And to that, I say, bravo. Thanks so much for watching.